All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I'm outside working on the land with the brethren, and every once in a while, periodically come in and try to check my emails because I want to try to make the best use of my time. And the reason why I want to try to make the best use of my time is because, I receive an extraordinary amount of emails as well as responses, and people are some people like to have answers to the questions that they have. So anyway, I have a particular email sent to me right here, and it says, "Shalom, Pastor Dow. Well, ready or not, here comes polygamy. Question for you, sir. How can you legalize something that is not illegal? Bless you, sir." And I'll include the link down here to see what they said, and it's coming over here from Italy. Now, what people need to understand is your perspective, your point of view in life, as well as mine. It was all shaped by culture. It was all shaped by our environment, and it's all shaped by the religious system and its dogmas or whatever it may be, being reared in whatever culture you're influenced by. And of course, when you deal with the European countries, Italy, Great Britain, all the European countries, and America, when you're dealing with people like that, you're coming from a particular religious perspective that is heavily influenced by Greco-Roman culture, empire, and its heritage. But however, when you read the Bible is not, and I say again, it is not a European book. The Bible is a Hebrew book. The Bible is a Hebrew book, and it's not the Hebrews who you call Jews today, who call themselves Ashkenazi, who come from the Caucasus Mountains. Those are Europeans as well. When you look at the historian Josephus, as well as the Bible, it's obvious that all the patriarchs, every one of them, pretty much, that you believe in, at least you say you believe in. People come up with all type of arguments from silence, but none of them can actually stick. It's painfully obvious if you read the Bible for what it says and do not try to read stuff into the text that is not there, but actually draw out of the text the real true meaning that is there using the proper methods and modes of interpretation. The word that you commonly have been accustomed to using, polygamy, that is just something that was part of the culture of the Hebrew people. I'll give an example. Abraham, the father of the faith, he had 3 wives. You look at Moses, he had 3 wives. You look at David, he had something like 18 wives and concubines. You look at Solomon, we all know about Solomon. You look at the priest, Elklin, you can go on and on and on. Josephus even let us know that polygamy, which I believe the proper term is polygyny, was common culture. And most people will say, well, it's a sin. Well, I hear what you say. I believe me, I do hear what you say. But I do know this. I do know that the Bible says that homosexuality is a sin that is condemned by death. So regardless of what the Supreme Court says in the United States of America, regardless of what the European countries say all across this world and what they have mentally ascribed to, the bottom line, you may participate in that lifestyle in this life, but you will be judged in the next, and it's not going to be good for you. So it's painfully obvious that whatever America and the rest of the European cultures accept as fact, it's actually really truly an abomination and a lie. Homosexuality, lesbianism is an abomination according to the scriptures. And remember, he is Yah and he don't change. Man may change, but he doesn't change his opinion once he establishes laws. And it's painfully clear in Romans, the 1st chapter as well, that it's an abominable lifestyle. But isn't it amazing that we have these people who champion themselves, who have the audacity to call legalizing polygamy something ludicrous and dangerous? Or is it, they can't even define if it's perfectly fine, that they can sanction an abominable lifestyle that is disapproved of by the law, the prophets of the Holy Bible. Then they could turn around a lifestyle that is approved, a lifestyle that I'll give you one example that is actually commanded in the scriptures. For instance, let's look at me. All right. I have a wife. All right. And let's say my brother has a wife and he dies and he did not raise up any seed in our family line. What does the Bible say? I'll tell you exactly what the Bible says because most of you don't know. God, Almighty Yahweh, Elohim, created the universe. You know what he does? He actually commands polygamy in this instance. He says that my brother's wife should actually come over in my house. I should go into her and raise up seed for my brother. So in this instant, polygyny is commanded. He also told King David, we all familiar with King David, when he took Uriah, the Hittite's wife, Bathsheba, he told King David, he says, if you would have wanted more wives, I would have given them to you. That's what Yah says. And then the prophets, Ezekiel, commonly called Yezekiel in the Hebrew tongue, he makes it painfully obvious that Yah, the creator of the universe, was married to 2 wives. And then when you look at the parables of Jesus, there were 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish. Man, he's coming back, isn't he? And then you go over to the prophet Isaiah, it clearly tells you that 7 women will take a hold of 1 man. Where's that at? That's talking about here, now, or in the kingdom. Which one is it? The bottom line is that the Bible is painfully clear. I know that many of you will rush over to the New Testament and it says, let every man have his own wife and let every wife have her own husband. I know what's presented to us in English. But have you ever done the due diligence and really truly looked behind the words own in both of those instances to see if it's really truly translated correctly from the original Greek tongue? Guarantee you haven't. Guarantee you haven't. So that means that the translators had an agenda when putting forth their culture and their ideals. Listen, I am a preacher of righteousness, a pastor of righteousness. God never did ask me my opinion about anything. He expected me to support his truth. And while the European countries condemn polygamy, even though they all seem to participate in it, for instance, the presidential candidate, Donald Trump, he participates in what I call serial polygamy. And that means he has been divorced and remarried 3 times. And he has children from each one of those unions. And that is celebrated in this country. But then we turn around and we condemn someone who has 2 wives, 3 wives, or 4 wives. If that's their choosing. I don't understand that. That's a bizarre behavior. How can you legalize something if you are a Bible believer that the Bible clearly condemns and call yourself a Christian, a Hebrew, a Jew, or an Israelite, or a Muslim? How can you turn around and approve of something that God condemns, such as homosexuality or lesbianism, and then you turn around and say that it is a wicked practice, a wicked practice for a man to have more than 1 wife? I think the problem is your culture. I think another problem is that many people, it is inconceivable for them to actually acknowledge the truth, to come to the truth, much less live the truth. My personal opinion is that you live life under your own dictates, your mandates, and your terms, and hope that you're right in the end. Do I think it's anybody else's business what you do? No. But see, again, if you're going to be an Israelite, we have laws. We have a culture. And our culture is not the culture of the Europeans. So no matter what laws they pass, for instance, I can't get behind a country. I can't get behind a state. I can't get behind judges or what they call a system of law that clearly says it is something that is love, it's lawful, it's just, it's good, it's right, because the Supreme Court says when they are diametrically opposed in direct opposition to the values, the ethics, and the morals, what the scriptures put forth. I can't do it. Man is not my God. God is my God, and he should be yours as well. And what he says matters. And you're going to have people that's going to dissent on this opinion right here. But like I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Pastor Dow is willing to debate any pastor that has a following or any leader, whether you're a Raya or Raha or a bishop or an elder or a priest or whatever you want to call yourself. And if you disagree and you say that polygamy or polygyny is an unlawful, sinful practice and we shouldn't participate in it. And I believe me, I'm not arguing with you. If you believe that, you shouldn't participate in it, because if you're not an Israelite, it's not your culture. But if you're a Christian, then that's your culture. Do you understand what I'm saying? But there's not one place in the Bible, nor is there one judgment in the Bible for someone who participates in polygyny where the Bible calls it sin. It's just simply not there. Believe me, I'm a student of the Scriptures. I've studied this thing backwards and forwards, upside down. I even got to the point where I even studied the arguments that people come up with, arguments from silence, foolish and unlearned questions that cause strife, simply because they put their feelings and their emotions in it rather than what the truth of God's word said. I think it's an actual moral practice for a man to be able to take a woman who's been rejected by a so-called ex-husband or whatever you call it, and take her under his roof and lead her and guide her as the head of his family. That's just the truth. And that's just the way it is. I mean, think about it. When the Most High comes, Yahshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, when he comes, he's going to have a marriage. Yeah, it's going to be one of him and thousands of us. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? So I think that Christianity and the culture of the Europeans have blinded people to the truth. And I don't know why there's so much passion and anger when this subject comes forth, as opposed to, if you really truly are a believer, you should have a lot of anger and you should have a lot of passion against a lifestyle that is clearly defined as an abomination. Myself personally, hey, if you are a polygynous family, you're welcome to come to where I preach and teach. I don't care what people say, especially people who don't even live the word, who don't even have one iota of holiness in their life. Totally irrelevant to me. Totally irrelevant. I care not what man thinks or what he says. I care about what Yah thinks and what he says. Remember, in anything, he never asks us for our opinion. He asks us to represent his truth. So whether we like it or not, if this country can legalize something that the Bible clearly condemns as immoral and abomination, it's only a matter of time before polygamy is legalized in this country as well. But I promise you this, those who follow the Scriptures, they're not waiting for the approval of the federal government or the justices of the Supreme Court to do what they already know that Yah has already approved of and sanctioned and relegated and regulated. They're not waiting on it. They just simply live their lives. So let me get back to the question. Well, Pastor Darrell, here comes polygamy. The question for you, sir, is how can you legalize something that is not illegal? Well, it depends on if you choose to participate in the system. Black's Law Dictionary says the one reason why we have licenses because you need to be able to have approval to do something which is otherwise not unlawful, but it would be unlawful if you obtain a license, if that's making any sense whatsoever at all. So in other words, there are things that you literally can do and you're not breaking any laws, but as soon as you get a license and you put yourself under that jurisdiction, then all of a sudden it becomes illegal to you. Other than that, now I'll give you an example, marriage, and I ended on that. If you choose to participate in the marriage thing by getting a license, you put yourself under the authority and under the control of the state, thereby entering into a third-party contractual agreement, whether you like it, understand it, or not. The state is not going to disclose to you the terms to the contract. They're not going to tell you that at all. They're not going to tell you that anything comes from the fruit of your marriage, husband and wife, the children, that the children is going to belong to the state, especially if the husband consents and signed the birth certificate and the wife consents and signed the birth certificate. You have just signed over the majority of the consent and majority of the rights to the state. And now that's the reason why they can bring Department of Human Services in. There's a reason why they can bring police at your door. There's a reason why they can try to force you to comply with their laws. Because number one, you have a marriage license. Number two, you have a social security number. Number three, you have a birth certificate. So I ask you, can you live in this life without obtaining their marriage license? I mean, you pay into something in order to receive benefits. But if you can do without those benefits and live free, without the scrutiny of government in every aspect of your life, I think you'd probably be better off and you would be a whole lot much more freer. So you can homeschool your children because your children wouldn't be in the system. You just got to know how to navigate and do things lawfully and right to where you're not injuring or harming anyone else. And I don't mind telling you, I don't recommend people to go out and get their marriage license because truly, according to the scriptures, marriage is defined when you have sex with a woman, whether you like it, understand it, or not. Period. Now, the burden of proof is on you. I've stated facts, and it's up to you, especially if you are a believer, be you Christian, Israelite, Jew, or Muslim. You have to do your own due diligence. Take on the attitude of the Bereans and search the things and see if what I am saying is so. So if you are a polygamous or polygynous couple, you're more than welcome to come here. But if you deal in polyandry, you're not welcome to our assemblies. Just like if you practice homosexuality, you are not welcome and never will be welcome in our assemblies, in any of our services. And the reason why I can do that is because I'm not 501c3. I'm not under the jurisdiction or the control of the federal government or the United States government or the state government. I just simply follow Yah, and that's what I recommend that you do. So I hope I answered the question, and I've taken time out this time to be able to answer the question so I wouldn't have to answer it 1,000 times in a video. And you know what? It's subjects like these that actually let the whole world know if you really truly have the spirit of truth, because sometimes people quickly go out and they adopt a position really fast because of pride that's in them. Only come to later on to find out that they have to stick with that position because saving face has become a high commodity. It's a bizarre behavior that is deeply and collectively and socially embedded in the subconscious of minds of the men of today. And when they take that position, they can't go back, because if they go back on it, they would be seen as someone as not of their word and really not a voice of authority. So some people have to continue to keep promoting the lie as opposed to promoting the truth, because they don't want to diminish themselves in the eyes of the people. And most of them will make videos and they will give you their opinions and they'll give you their so-called studies about biblical marriage, but they dare not stand in front of a man who is informed in front of their congregation and debate this cause with intelligence civilly. Hope y'all have a wonderful day. I've answered that question. Hopefully you laid this to rest. But if not, I'm sure it's going to come up again. I got to go back outside and get to work.